Limata. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Limata, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Limata. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Limata, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing.
Good morning, and welcome to Storytime. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy Wednesday. Thank you indeed for being here. I had to think about it for a second. It is Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. And glad that we're here together. This has been a confusing week for me, especially with Monday being off suddenly, and then we're here Tuesday, and then of course today Wednesday. So getting it all aligned. Thank you so much for joining us here on Storytime. Happy Wednesday wherever you are today, and indeed whatever you're up to. I hope that Storytime adds to the joy of what you're doing. Thank you so much indeed for joining us today, and we bring to you a brand new book here to Storytime, as it will be all week, and this one is coming out on March 5th. And it is called The COMET Chase. And this one is coming to us from Chronicle Books of San Francisco. It is written by Pamela S. Turner and illustrations by Viavian Mildenberger. And of course, as we mentioned, reading it with permission of the publishers, Chronicle Books of San Francisco. A big thank you to them indeed. This one is from the Spring Catalog 2024 and is coming out. Publishing day is March 5th. So in a few days, this one will be out. Get ready. You can go ahead and pre-order, or indeed put a request for it at your local library. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope that you have a lovely day ahead. But before then, we have a story to share together, a story to enjoy together, and hopefully a snack to go with it as well. Thank you indeed for joining in. And as you can see, many amazing books that we're bringing to you this week. And we kicked off with Wake Up Woodlands, and that one was on Monday. And then, of course, we read A Treasure of Measures, that one beautiful yesterday. And then today we're reading Comet Chaser. Tomorrow we come in with Lost Words, and then we close out the week with Finding Grateful. Beautiful books, sweet books, and I hope that these ones become a staple in your library. Thank you so much for joining us here today on Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you, and I hope you get to enjoy all these wonderful stories. Thank you indeed for being here, whether you're joining us right now live or later on indeed for the recordings. I hope that you can leave us a message. Let us know you are here so we can say hi to you and yours, and of course, wish you a lovely day indeed. Thank you so much for joining us today. Kathy, thank you for being here out there in Ohio. And Luna, good morning to you as well. Sunny Ohio out there. Well, out here in Oakland, send us a slice of that sunshine, because rain is coming back. Rain is in the focus out here in Oakland and in the Bay. And so please, as you go out there, please drive safely, be careful, look out, keep an eye out keep an eye out on the weather, of course, so you know what you need to carry with you. And of course, if you're driving, please drive a little bit slower. And if you're a pedestrian, please try and wear something reflective, or indeed just so you can be more visible. And if you're crossing the street, please look both ways. Look both ways. If it is like a double way street, look both ways a few times before going across. Thank you so much for joining us here on Storytime, and make that eye contact with the driver and make sure you're good to go. Thank you so much for joining us here on Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you. Comet Chaser coming right up very, very shortly after this short break. Thank you to everybody that is here, and I wish you a wonderful day. And of course, I hope that you enjoy this story time today. If you need a snack, this is the time. Go and grab it so you can come back and enjoy this beautiful story that is not yet out, officially coming out on March 5th. So come on out and find this wonderful book. And the full title is The True Cinderella Story of Caroline Herschel, Comet Chaser, the first professional woman astronomer, written by Pamela S. Turner and illustrated by Viavian Mildenberger. Thank you so much for being here with us on Storytime. And I'll be right back after this very short break. Thank you indeed for being here with us, and get ready for our story for today.
Hi, my name's Christine Mitchell Adams. I'm a mama and an artist, and I believe that books are a great way for children to have access to the arts on an everyday basis, which is why I believe that programs like Storytime with Mr. Limata are so important.
Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome back. And of course, thank you, Christy Mitchell Adams, with that powerful message. Do follow Christy Mitchell Adams on Instagram and find out what they've been up to, including many, many health tips that they get to share on their platform, and beautiful art as well out there in Vermont. Good morning to you, Borden, as well. Thank you so much for joining us here on Storytime. I hope that you are having a lovely, lovely start to your day. Thank you indeed for being here. Today, we read Comet Chaser, coming right up. This one written by Pamela S. Turner. Thank you so much for joining us here on Storytime, illustrated by Viavian Mildenberger. Thank you indeed for joining in Storytime. Please get comfortable, get ready for this beautiful book here on Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you, and I hope that you love this one too. Thank you indeed for joining us here on Storytime. Pamela Courtney, good to see you here with us on Storytime. Good morning from Chad, Auntie Anne, and of course Auntie Pam. Thank you so much out there in Natchitoches, Louisiana, and I hope that you enjoy this lovely book that we have here together. Pamela, I meant to send you a photo. Actually, I was in a meeting with Angela Darton yesterday, and yeah, of course, you came up in our conversation. So I'll be sharing that with you later on. Thank you so much for joining us here on Storytime. Pamela Courtney, and of course, Chad and Auntie Anne, thank you for being here with us on Storytime. Here we go with our story for today, Comet Chaser, coming out officially on March 5th. A big thank you indeed to Chronicle Books of San Francisco for allowing us to read this wonderful book here on Storytime. Comet Chaser, the true Cinderella story of Caroline Herschel. And this one is written by Pamela S. Turner, illustrations by Viavian Mildenberger, and as we mentioned, reading it with permission of the publishers, Chronicle Books of San Francisco. Here we go. The illustrations in this one too, my goodness. Comet Chaser. And I think yesterday I kept saying Comet. No, it's Comet Chaser, full title. The true Cinderella story of Caroline Herschel, the first professional woman astronomer, written by Pamela S. Turner and illustrations by Viavian Mildenberger, published and read with permission of Chronicle Books of San Francisco. On that dazzling winter night, the cold of deep space seemed to reach the cobblestone streets of Hanover, Germany. Caroline Herschel gripped her father's hand and gazed into the heavens. Father showed her the stars that formed constellations, Taurus, Andromeda, and Cassiopeia. He pointed out a comet sparkling like a snowflake against the velvet darkness. Aww. I hope where you are, you get to look out into the sky and see the beautiful stars. I know the closer you are to all the lights of the cities, the harder it is, right? My father was a great admirer of astronomy and had some knowledge of that science. On that dazzling winter night, the cold of deep space seemed to reach the cobblestone streets of Hanover, Germany. Caroline Herschel gripped her father's hand and gazed into the heavens. Father showed her the stars that formed constellations, Taurus, Andromeda, and Cassiopeia. He pointed out a comet sparkling like a snowflake against the velvet darkness. Special moments with father were rare. He was forever busy, teaching music and helping Caroline's four brothers with their lessons. Caroline didn't have any homework. After just a few years of schooling, mother made her stay home. Why, mother thought, should any of my daughter be educated? Hmm. Especially this daughter, left with a face scarred by childhood disease. Who would want to marry her? Mother decided that Caroline would become the family servant. Somebody had to do it. Mother's way of treating children was rather severe. Hmm. So Caroline washed pots. She scrubbed floors and mended socks. But something sparkled inside Caroline, a flicker of hope in the dark. In between her homely tasks, she slipped quietly into the room where her father gave music lessons. Late at night, she lay in bed listening as father discussed astronomy, physics, and mathematics with her older brothers. When her father died after a lingering illness, 17-year-old Caroline despaired. Her favorite brother William had left home to work as a musician in England. With them, all all the light had departed the house. Hmm. Yet Caroline still dreamed. Not about glittering parties and elegant gentlemen as she mopped and dusted. Caroline dreamed about a career. Teaching. No, she didn't have enough schooling. Perhaps dressmaking. Mother wouldn't allow it. Who would who would sweep the fireplace? Who would wash the stockings? Caroline seemed doomed to a life so dim she would be almost invisible. Towards the future, I had no courage to look. Far away in England, William worried about his sister. He wrote to ask, could Caroline come to live with him? His musical career was going well. Perhaps Caroline could help by singing in his concerts, copying music, and running errands. Mother refused. Who would clean the house? She said. But William didn't give up. When he wrote and offered her money to hire a servant, Mother finally agreed. And went from that to England. In 1972, Caroline moved to William's home in England, a new country, a new language, a new beginning. Good morning to you, Megan. How are you doing today? I love it. It's a treat for Ari, I can see. Thank you for joining in. In 1972, Caroline moved to William's home in England, a new country, a new language, a new beginning. Caroline helped by copying music and shopping for groceries. William gave her English lessons and taught her to sing. Soon, she was performing at her brother's concerts. William gave Caroline shillings and pence to do the shopping, but she didn't know enough arithmetic to keep track of the money, so William taught her. Caroline breezed through addition and subtraction. What did it matter that in those days few people, male or female, studied algebra, geometry, and trigonometry? Caroline mastered it all. In the evenings, William and Caroline looked up at the vast, star-sparkled sky. Both cherished memories of their father and his love of the stars. Their childhood was over, and Germany was far away. Yet the same familiar sparkles beckoned from above, and the same planets glowed on the dark horizon. By way of relaxation, we talked of astronomy and the fine constellations. All of that. By way of relaxation, we talked of astronomy and the fine constellations. I hope we can all find that little time to look up to the sky. At breakfast, William told Caroline about the astronomy books he was reading. Soon, it wasn't enough to read about other people's discoveries. Why not build their own telescope? The Herschels became full-time astronomers and full-time musicians. During the day, William and Caroline turned mathematical calculations into glass lenses and pasteboard tubes. In the evenings, they turned music notes into lush melodies. When the scratchy noise of lens grinding faded, the shimmering notes of a violin began. Together, they created a telescope with a tube 7 feet, so 2 meters long, and then an even more powerful 20-foot or 6-meter telescope. But what heavenly objects should they explore? William suggested making a chart of the night sky. They would measure the position of every object they could see. In those days, professional astronomers focused on the 5 planets visible in the sky: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. They didn't spend much time studying distant stars because their telescopes weren't powerful enough. William and Caroline didn't know that. They were in their own backyard at play among the stars. Yes, William and Caroline didn't know that. They were in their own backyard at play among the stars. They didn't spend much time studying distant stars because their telescopes weren't powerful enough. Yes, those early astronomers. On clear nights, they worked on their chart of the night sky. William gazed through the eyepiece of one of their telescopes, calling out measurements to Caroline. Afterward, in her neat, precise handwriting, she made the many mathematical calculations needed to chart the object's positions. And with no help from a calculator, those hadn't been invented yet. Impressive. I undertook with pleasure what others might have thought a hardship. Yeah. One night, while observing on his own, William noticed something new, something he called a nebulous star, or perhaps a comet. He wrote to a professional astronomer to announce his discovery. The astronomers quickly realized that William's object wasn't a star or a comet. It was a planet, circling so far from the sun, it was almost lost in the darkness. Uranus, as it came to be known, was the first new planet discovered since ancient times. Astronomers across Europe were stunned. How could a backyard stargazer find a new planet? When they arrived at William's and Caroline's home, they discovered that the Herschel's telescopes were the finest in the world. They could see distant objects that other instruments missed. How could this backyard stargazer discover new planets? Oh, just you wait and see. The praise and attention encouraged William to design an even bigger 30-foot or 9-meter telescope. But the new telescope required a metal mirror 3 feet, 1 meter wide. Over 500 pounds or 227 kilograms of molten metal would need to be poured into a custom-made mold. The inside of the mold would have to have the exact curve needed for a telescope mirror. As the liquid metal cooled, it would form a large metal disc that could be polished to give it a mirrored surface. No metal worker in the area could handle such a large project, so William and Caroline had to be creative. To make the mirror mold, they needed a cheap material, something they could find just lying around, something that could be dried and hardened. Horse dung, would that work? Is that what they needed? It was an endless piece of work and served me for many an hour's exercise. There's the mold. Pour in. To make a smooth mold, the dung needed to be crushed into powder. Caroline worked ferociously hard, pounding and sifting bucket after bucket of manure. Wow. William and Caroline converted a room on the first floor of their house into a metal casting workshop, complete with a large furnace. In the furnace, they melted the metal so it could be poured into the horse dung mold. It took several tries to cast the perfect mirror. During one attempt, molten metal dripped from the mold onto the paving stones on their workroom. As Caroline watched in horror from the garden, the workroom floor shattered, flinging shards of paving stones in all directions. William and his workmen ran for their lives. Oh. Glad nobody was hurt. This was hard, dirty, dangerous work, and expensive. Luckily, the King of England loved astronomy. King George III offered William a salary so he could become a full-time astronomer. William now had a new career. But what about Caroline? Audiences enjoyed her singing. If she wanted, she could leave William and become a professional soloist, traveling to performances all over England. If Caroline stayed with her brother, she risked never shining on her own. What did she owe William? What did she owe herself? Till now, I had not had time to consider giving up the prospect of making myself independent. In the end, her love for her brother and the work they shared kept Caroline by William's side. They moved to a house near King George's castle and set up their telescopes. They built an even larger 40-foot, 12-meter instrument. Winter didn't discourage them. Even when it became so cold, the ink froze in Caroline's inkwell. Whoa. Together, they discovered 2 moons circling Uranus and 2 new moons of Saturn, and mapped mysterious milky patches called nebulae. At the time they began their chart of the night sky, all the astronomers who had come before them had charted about 100 nebulae. William and Caroline found 2,400 more, 2,400 more. If it had not been sometimes for the intervention of a cloudy or moonlit night, I know not when my brother or neither should have got any sleep. Oh, now that's being lost in the work for sure. Scientists celebrated William as the rising star of astronomy. Carriages arrived at the Herschel's home to carry him off to conferences, scientific meetings, dinner parties, and fancy balls. Caroline stayed home. When her brother was away, Caroline spent starlight nights sitting on the dewy grass with a small comet sweeper telescope. On the first day of August 1786, Caroline noticed something odd. Yes, it looked like a star, but there wasn't supposed to be a star in that spot in the sky. Caroline carefully measured the object's position. Could it be a comet? To make sure, she had to show that the glowing object moved from night to night against the background stars. Had Caroline discovered something new? The next day, it rained. Caroline worried. Would it be too cloudy to see her object again? Light faded into darkness. The clouds drifted away, and the sky unfolded its wonders. Caroline found the glowing light again and measured its position. It had moved since the night before. It must be a comet. Too excited to sleep, Caroline wrote to other astronomers asking them to confirm her discovery. Four days later, a group of scientists arrived at the Herschel home. Like all scientists, they were skeptical. Did Caroline's report fit the facts? The men looked for Caroline's comet using her comet sweeper telescope. Yes, a tiny sparkle winked back from the darkness. Wow. By the time William returned home a few weeks later, King George had also heard of the discovery. He summoned William to Windsor Castle and asked him to show the lady's comet to the royal family. Extraordinary! A discovery by a lady astronomer. King George awarded Caroline a salary to support her astronomic work. At age 37, Caroline finally had a career. Caroline wasn't a teacher, a dressmaker, or a singer. She was the world's first professional woman astronomer. My salary was the first money I ever in all my lifetime thought myself to be at liberty to spend to my own liking. Over the next 11 years, Caroline found 7 more comets. In fact, she became so good at comet sweeping that in 1797, she discovered one without using a telescope. A fellow scientist wrote admiringly, "Wherever she sweeps in fine weather, nothing can escape her." Caroline was honored with membership in the Royal Irish Academy and awarded a gold medal by the King of Prussia. She was the belle of the scientific ball. Yet, these scientific societies didn't allow women to join as full members or attend meetings. England's Royal Astronomical Society made her an honorary member and awarded her the Society's gold medal, engraved with Caroline's name, an image of the Herschel's 40-foot 12-meter telescope, and the Society's motto in Latin. Do I dare to read the Latin? Quinquid not tandem. The motto refers to stars, planets, comets, and all the bright objects of the cosmos. Yet it also seemed to mean for Caroline. What did it mean for her? Let whatever shines be noted. Yes, indeed. Let whatever shines be noted. And that is the end of our story today. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. I hope you learned a thing or two about this amazing, amazing pioneer indeed. Absolutely lovely book, Comet Chaser, The True Cinderella Story of Caroline Herschel. And you can see too at the time that that she was living and the hardships that she had to overcome, the gatekeepers that were there, and yeah, just you can see too, even just from the treatment of her brother and herself when she was also doing such amazing work, such hard work, and helping discover, but the recognition didn't seem the same. And I'm so glad to say that we've at least made some progress in that. And I hope that we continue to make progress. I hope we continue to create a world that is fair for everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you. Beautiful pictures, you say, Kathy. Couldn't agree with you more. Thank you so much for joining us here on Storytime. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be right back after this very short break for more Storytime.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Chang, co-author of Bobo Loves Dumplings, Bobo's Colorful Chinese New Year, and Night Market Rescue. And this is Storytime with Mr. Limata.
Caroline Chang, thank you so much. Oh, Caroline Herschel, and then I was like Caroline Chang. Caroline Herschel was our story for today. Comet Chaser, thank you so much for being here with us on Storytime. And of course, Charlotte Chang, thank you as well for a lovely message. And if you've not checked out our conversation with Charlotte Chang here on Storytime, please do so, and get to enjoy the amazing books, including Night Market Rescue. Thank you so much for joining us here today on Storytime. Yes, I hope you find all those things that shine and let them be noted. And yes, go shine out there, and we will take note for sure. Thank you so much for being here with us on Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you. To everybody that was joining us today here, whether you're joining us right now live, thank you for being here. And of course, if you're joining us later on for the recordings, well, thank you for taking the time to make Storytime a part of your life. Thank you so much indeed for joining us here today. Absolutely appreciate you. Pamela Courtney, thank you so much. It makes you wonder how much more significant her contributions really were. Absolutely, absolutely. And as you're talking of that, it reminds me too of Dorothy Wordsworth and many others that we've read about, and many other women too in other parts of the world, right? We recently saw the Woman King, and you got to see what those women were doing, the women warriors were doing, and just thinking about how much was not noted or was attributed to men living at that time. So just great point, Pamela Courtney. Thank you so much for sharing, and just shows you how unfair this world can be. And I hope that we continue to disrupt and continue to push against such thinking, right? Thank you so much for being here with us. Absolutely appreciate you for that. Appreciate that comment. And makes you wonder for sure. Thank you so much for being here. And if you have the time, dig in a little deeper into the life of Caroline Herschel. Thank you so much for joining us here today on Storytime, and absolutely appreciate you too, Megan, and of course Ari joining in later on for the recording. Thank you so much for being here. Morning ingredients, evening ingredients here on Storytime. Thank you so much for joining us today. Absolutely appreciate you. Chad and Auntie Anne, good morning to you as well. Thank you so much for being here with us on Storytime. Have yourselves a lovely day out there in Nakitosh, Louisiana. Sunny in Ohio. Thank you so much for joining in, Kathy, and thank you for the weather update out there as well. If you're here in the Bay, you know the rain is upon us, so please be aware. Get your rain boots, get whatever else that is needed for you to be a little dry out there. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Absolutely appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed the story that we had for you today. We're back again tomorrow with another exciting book, and this time we bring you Lost Words, an Armenian story of survival and hope. Come and join us for this one. It is written by Leila Bukharim and illustrations by Sona Avedikian. Thank you so much for joining us here on Storytime. It is another one that is coming to us from Chronicle Books of San Francisco. Brand new. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Absolutely appreciate you. And we hope to see you here back on Storytime. Have yourselves a wonderful day today, wonderful Wednesday. If you're like me, hopefully it's a minimum day at school, and you get to be out a little bit early and get to enjoy it. And of course, if not, we hope that it's still an enjoyable one. Thank you so much for being here with us on Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you. Don't know why I have dog fur on me right now. I don't have a dog, but hey, here we go. Thank you so much for joining us here on Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you. Much love from me, and I will see you again tomorrow for more Storytime. Please do keep sending us your recommendations. Let us know what you'd love to see here on Storytime, and I guarantee you we will be looking and pushing, asking those publishers to allow us to read many more stories here on Storytime. So please keep sending them our way. And of course, check in with your neighbors, check in with your loved ones. Let them know you care. Thank you so much for being here with us on Storytime. Much love from me, Chad. Bye-bye.
Storytime with Mr. Limata. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Limata, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Limata. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Limata, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Limata. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Limata, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing. Brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing